is the Sacred Knowing of Viz video series with Tisziji Muñoz, interview number 5. I had some questions regarding chapters 54 through 58. From chapter 54, you write, some less advanced spirits need to depend upon their past life experience to establish corresponding sympathies with others, while those who are more advanced know and sense sympathetically without apparent conscious or intellectual remembrance. They know other spirits through higher plane resonance, awareness of consciousness, or realization of being, which are the signs of purification, progress, and enlightenment. My question is, would those who are more advanced sympathetically, as you describe it, be considered what some may call psychic, or is there a difference?
Well, some beings know. They just know. Some beings have to figure things out, and other beings just know. So the advanced individuals are considered more in terms of knowers. Sometimes they can't explain why they know what they know, they just know. It's like some people just hear. So there are abilities that just are the way they are. And people have to learn how to deal with these and manage these. They could be hearing abilities, seeing abilities, say thinking abilities, and knowing abilities. Feeling abilities are part of the process as well. When we're talking about the psychic, we're talking about feeling primarily. People have a feeling about something. Sometimes very physical feeling. Could be an emotional feeling. See, the body could be reacting to something in a certain way. They feel that. They're not sure what it is, but they feel something. And it could be interpreted by, let's say, some people as good or bad, and relative to something or other that they teach themselves or learn from their own experience to define for themselves, to distinguish. See. We can say that some get the vibes, so we're talking about vibes, which are a little bit different from feeling. Say, no, it's not something I feel, I just have a vibe about it. See, it's a sense of it. See. So the psychic plane is primarily due to perception at the astral level. So sympathetic resonance can show up as, well, having a feeling of connectedness with some peeps. And I'm not going to say that any feeling of connectedness with any peeps is good. Okay. Familiarity is not going to be seen as good or bad depending on what your karma is and what the karma of the situation is. See? You could be in a very frightening situation in a bar somewhere or someplace else amongst peeps and feel that the situation is very, very difficult, very bad or hard or, say, unbearable in some cases. Say, I don't know why, but I just went in this room and it was unbearable. And you have to respond and react to it, yet all the people may have been hospitable and nice and all the rest of this. So we need to know what's going on at the conscious level, because you're talking about the conscious level generally, and we need to know what's going on at the unconscious level. Because we are both conscious and unconscious, and then to add into the mix, we're also superconscious. And that goes back to those who are more advanced sympathetically, who just know certain things. See? And when we're talking about the psychic, we're saying, yes, it's kind of like extrasensory. That means non-physical, and people know. And then we're talking about that being a beginning level for some peeps. See? You can know by feeling, but then you can know by memory. See? And all of a sudden your memory pops up. You don't have a feeling, you just know something, but it's a memory, a flash coming into your head, or a deja vu or something. That's a memory that comes in, and that's a causal plane process, not astral plane. Astral plane is a psychic, a feeling plane. The causal plane is a memory. It's more mechanical in a sense, and you can know that way. Images come up to you. See, you start seeing images, and so there's that way of perceiving and having resonance. Say, I don't know how I felt or how I saw, but all of a sudden an image pops into my head, and I got to deal with it. We're not saying it's good or bad. It's just data. It's just phenomena. See, that shows up as something to perceive, and then it could be something that is, if not on the causal level of memory, then it could be something mental. See, you've been having thoughts about somebody or something, and again, images may have something to do with this. You start seeing image, you start connecting with things, and all of a sudden when you get to a certain place, you see it all comes together. You say, wow, I previewed that earlier, now I'm at this place and I see exactly what it is, because I see the blue here, I see the flowers there, I see the window, I see the curtains there, I see all of this as if you saw it before. You were given the image, and that's through mental means, thought processing. And then you have the etheric level of knowing as well, and resonance that comes with that. And it's more knowing directly. Say, no, I just know. Okay. Not for any reason, not for under any condition, I just know. Got to do this, I know. And it's not even acknowledging that you know, it's a knowing beyond knowing. It's just being done, you're not thinking about it. So it's something you already know. I know this is going to happen.
From chapter 57 you write, those spirits who pass over in tormented states do not reincarnate until their torment and its origin are recognized and resolved. My question is, when this happens, is it left solely to the spirit who is tormented to recognize and resolve it on their own, or do they receive help and or counseling from a guide or some sort of higher spirit?
It's usually hard to say what is one's own, because often there's confusion, so you're not sure what it is, if it's yours or anybody else's or anything that's going on, and that's a possibility. And torment is self-created, so it has to be self-undone. And so obviously if you're tormented, you're struggling with your own phenomena, your own mind, your own emotions, and you're having difficulty with processing your data, your perceptions. And so that certainly has to be somehow or other resolved or purified or gone through before you can go anywhere else or consider yourself capable of going anywhere else. So it's hard to say who's in what kind of shock, to what degree, because of what reasons. And then, how that's going to be resolved is really up to the laws of karma and other kinds of influences that are really indefinable or not knowable until a person is somehow or other determined to be at a state of peace. And some people who are close to that individual can know when he's in this, or they are in this state of disturbance, restlessness or unhappiness. And then they can also know when that person is at peace. They can feel it, see, because it's not like the person is really gone, they're in another dimension, but it's present. See, so it's important to understand that what we're talking about are present dimensions. But at what level can you perceive these dimensions? But they are present dimensions. I mean, parents feel their relatives, their peeps, their children. Children feel their parents very powerfully. There's no mistaking that. It's not like just a memory. No, it's a presence. It's a presence. And other people can see the spirits. And some don't need to see them. They just know that they're connected. And then that fades out. It could be a temporary connection. It could be a more lasting connection. But people have to use their, let's say, sense of reality to determine what's real for them and what's not real for them, and how much of what kind of influence they need, and whether it's in the way of what they have to do or what they have to be, or maybe it's serving, it's helping them to be or do whatever it is that they feel connected to this person to do or to be. So all of this has to do with individual perception and practice. So we need to be in a form of practice that gives us more ongoing sensitivity to these realities, rather than, like to say, the shock of some of these things that are being asked concerning the spirit world. Sometimes people are shocked into knowing things. Sometimes people are shocked because they don't know anything about it. And there's that kind of problem, see.
You go on to write, then accordingly, the situation which seems or is best for future advancement is considered for reincarnation. My question is, who is it exactly that considers or decides what situation is best for future advancement in regards to reincarnation? Is it the spirit itself who has passed over that solely decides? Well,
it could be, you see. In other words, what happens is based upon what is happening. See, for the living, what is happening determines what happens. We have to be intelligent enough to see that we're creating death experience and death karma and what happens after that as we live. It's not like you can live a life and then all of a sudden you switch gears and you're not into a whole other universe and you don't know what's going on there. Well, it is like that, but it's not really like that, because you're living and creating by way of your perceptions, your actions, your feelings. You're creating your death experience. You're meeting it halfway. You're creating where you're going by what you're being preoccupied with. So life accumulation determines to what degree. See, what it is that happens when death comes. So as they live, you hear, as they die, as they live. That's relative, but that's relevant at the same time. See, you die as you live. See, those who live by the sword die by the sword, and those who live by the flower may die by the flower. But that's not a rule, but that's a possibility in some cases and a probability in most cases. So we're talking about life accumulation, karma that's already been set up. We're setting up that karma, we're creating that karma as we speak, as we live, as we eat, as we socialize, as we meditate, as we study, as we experience the deeper side of our consciousness, intelligence, or spiritual side. All of this is making payments for and against what happens at death. A lot of that karma is already created and we're just fulfilling it. We're on a ride, we're on a roller coaster ride, coming to meet our death, which is something we agreed to and we're paying for all the time, but we don't think about it because we don't believe that it's possible, that it could be that way, because we're not educated in these things. So you could be paying that debt off by yourself or relative to others, and that debt can already be paid off by something you did this life or another life, or something your parents did. They could have already paid the debt off. All of these things are possibilities, and you're only going to know when you're paying attention to what it is that is being talked about. That's what's going down. See, in your life, are you that aware? Are you that, as an individual, that preoccupied with survival programming that you can't even stop to think about what you're creating or what's going to happen with you, how you're going to die, when you're going to die, under what conditions you're going to die, where you're going to go, where you're going to be stuck, where you might advance to or where you might regress to. All of these things are what we have within our control to consider in this moment.
So can their decision be influenced by, like once one passes, could their decision be influenced by other spirits or a guide?
Always. We're in a universe of influences. It's virtually impossible to be without them. We are a confluence of reality. We are a mix. See, we're being influenced all the time to be one way or another way. See, and if you take a good look at the human mind, when we're talking about the unenlightened mind, it's a bowl of chaos. It's all over the place. Turbulence, see, disarray. In some cases, derangement. And so people need much of what they believe they have to do as part of their grounding and their sense of comfort and gravity. See, for the most part, work is a form of comfort. It's a grounding, and it's a form of gravity. That means keeps you down in a certain way, keeps you busy, keeps you preoccupied, keeps you focused. So we need to know how our lives are set up to prevent us from going crazy, because we tend to be crazy, because we're undisciplined. We really don't know what we're doing with our lives. And if it's not for the situation that we have inherited through our family karma, then a lot of people would be lost already. And even with all of that karma, with jobs and everything else, people are still not knowing what's going on. They're still lost, in a manner of speaking. They say that they are secure because they have a definite job, they have a definite family, they have a definite car, they have a definite place, so they have a physical reality, but it doesn't mean they really know beyond that. Okay? Who knows beyond that? So spirits are always influencing you. Ancestral energies influence you. Your memory is part of that influence, because you're pulling up memories from the past. You're pulling up emotions from the past. Sometimes they are, let's say your own, sometimes they're not. Okay? The only way we're going to know is if we slow down enough to really accurately, subtly perceive these things, so we have a better sense, so we can't, say to people, I don't believe in that. I can't see it, so I don't believe in it. Well, you can't play stupid and think that's going to make a difference. Okay, you're in this spiritual universe and in the physical universe at the same time. You have to know how the two interface, how they interrelate, because listen, we're conscious and then we go to bed and we're unconscious. We're always moving from one dimension to another dimension. It's just our nature to do that, because we're spirits first, we're not the physical body. You're in and out of the body, you're in and out of your mind, you're in and out of your emotions, you're in and out of your vibes, your reality. See? And so if we are fortunate enough to have a spiritual guidance center, then there's some, let's say, some balancement and some direction that can come from that, where you can start to slow down, pay attention, center yourself, and start to focus on the more important issues of life relative to life, real inner life and death itself.
So are you saying then that when it comes time for one to choose what situation is best for reincarnation, that it's likely or common that they will choose poorly if they are in a lower state or not advanced enough when it comes time to choose?
Well, ignorance is always going to be a problem and an issue. It's a bad ticket. It's bad. It's a bad choice to buy a ride through ignorance and trying to escape knowing what you need to know. Okay? There may be a possibility that you can have a fun ride here and there, but sooner or later you're going to be confronted with what you don't know, and that could be a slam, dunk, or some other kind of disastrous stop point. Could be a stop point where you're shocked into waking up and realizing your stupidity and your, let's say, error of judgment, your ignorance. See? And that's usually your wake-up call, but it's too late to change anything. For some, depending on what that really does to your consciousness. If you're just injured, let's say, if you're lucky and you're just injured and knocked around and more or less shocked into waking up, then of course you might be able to repair yourself, your direction, what else you have to do on the planet. And this is important. In other words, you can change before it's too late. You can make a difference in your own case and in the case of other peeps, your family's case, whatever. And so the idea, of course, is to be aware of what it is that's going on so that you can make the best choices, right? Make the most intelligent choices. And the best way to make those intelligent choices is to have knowledge about what to choose and how to choose it for oneself. See? And how to stay a course of action, a course of practice that enables you to bear the fruits of good actions, good direction, good guidance, good counsel. Right? You start to see the sanity to that, see, the wisdom to it.
From chapter 57, you write, any incarnation is the result of former lifetimes and subtle thought, feeling, and gross word or action, behavior patterns, or karmas. My question is, what if someone who has indulged in negative thoughts and behavior patterns for most of their present life suddenly turns it around, say towards the end of their life? Would that sudden change in thought and behavior be enough to change the outcome of any future incarnations?
Well, that's a good question. Change your mind is not going to make a difference. Change your heart might make a difference. See? So if the heart changes, if you have a profound change, then that could make a difference. See? We're talking about a complete change, an inner change, where there is like, say, no way. This is the way it has to be now. It used to be that way. I can't go back to that at all. I'm not that anymore. I'm not going to ever do that again. That kind of change of heart could make a difference, see, when it counts. But saying, oh, I think I'm going to be this way, I'm going to do this, I'm going to say this, I'm going to act this way. Mind changes are not powerful enough. I changed my mind. I'm not going to do it now. I'm not going to do that anymore. Well, you've created enough karma and momentum from what you were doing that you want to change now. And that karma is not disappearing simply because you can decode it with a change of mind. Okay? You created a lot of momentum and force, maybe some karma. You set something going and you have to deal with that. You have to change it. But you're not going to change it by change your mind. You have to go deeper. It's going to take a lot more energy to change something like a big boulder that's moving in a certain direction that you set in motion. So you're going to need a lot of force to stop it. So, and that's what karma is. It's stuff that's set in motion. Your life is karma set in motion. Your life is like a boulder rolling down the hill, going in a certain direction. So to change that requires a tremendous amount of force, and that's what spiritual practice is all about. Using extraordinary or profound force to change a momentum relative to some force of, let's say, action that was set up before, some force of feeling that was set up before, some force of mind, see, that was set up before, some force of thought, negative thoughts. We're talking about transforming the negative into something positive and beautiful, so you feel confident that you're going in the right direction without any doubt.